What is up, everybody? Lyle, No Hippie Trucking and Transportation. Truck Trader Sam, what's up? Just waiting for some people to come in here. Tim Travels, what's up? I'm proud to say that somebody announced me, or people like me are top 10% out there. So we're going to talk about that real quick here in a second. That made me feel awesome. Tito's and soda coming at us from Atlanta. Boy, have fun out there. Seems like every time I leave home time, for some reason, I end up in Atlanta, which I'll take over going west. I don't know about anybody else, but Prime is, man, I got to read this. Can't read it on that screen up there. Prime is fan-fucking-tastic for me right now. You know, I talked to a lot of people that have been in that $6,000 to $7,000 revenue range these last few weeks I've been off. So it does seem like it's doing well with that. There's a storm hitting tonight and tomorrow on I-80 Wyoming. If you're prepared to leave, I'm not going west. So, I mean, I could maybe see it if there's a load on the yard, maybe, but typically I'm not trying to head west from home time. Maybe leave from someone else's house, Tim Travel says. So anyway, I was watching a video, and you know, these trucking YouTube channels, some of them, now listen, ride whatever lane you're in, you know what I'm saying? So you got people that have a ton of experience, owner op, so we're going to say like SoCal, stuff like that. That's what he's hanging his flag on. You got like Romaine the trucker and Kiersey, you know, that are hanging their flag on, you know, company drivers. And you got like me and a few people at Prime that are talking about the regular or the lease purchase. And then, you know, you have people that are just talking about regular lease purchases out there. But I had one of these drivers say that only 10% of the people that ever get into a lease purchase actually finish them off. So that I'm thinking about changing the name of my channel. You know, I'm just not sure what I want to change it to. All right, what's my favorite football team? Now you're talking about like real football, like soccer and stuff like that. Not into that. When I was into football, before they started making it all soft and everything, Raider fan since 1974. But at some point, you know, the game just got a little too soft for me to be watching. All right. Tim Travels, where'd that number come from? I'm not sure, but if you go check out Freight Cat Logistics, I'm sure he'd be more than happy to tell you where he pulled that number from. But I'm feeling good. Like I'm big stepping around here now. So I don't know. So anyway, we got all these people planting their flags, you know what I'm saying? And really, like I've always said, you can go back since the very beginning of this channel. I've never said one way is better than another, or you should do things like this, you should do things like that. But what's happening, and I've mentioned this before, is we got some of these false prophets coming out here, or coaches, or whatever you want to call them, out here trying to give information. Like whatever they're doing that day is the flavor of the day. Like it doesn't matter what works or doesn't work. It's like what I'm doing now. That's the only way to do it. You know what I mean? And really the reason it upsets me a little bit isn't because I give a fuck what he thinks or either of these two or three people think. It's now some of us other people out here catching strays. You know what I'm saying? Like some of these strays I'm catching, I never would have caught if it wasn't for, somebody like him perpetrating the fraud and stuff like that, trying to give advice on stuff that he doesn't know about. So that's kind of what's going on in my head right now. Let's see. What's up, Dad? Makes, daughter breaks. Yeah, so anyway, I've had to, if you've been watching these YouTube in the last, you can go back as far as you want. There's always these people that are out here actually trying to give advice when instead of giving advice, a lot of these people are the ones that should be on the receiving end of some of this advice. And these are people that have been driving a long time, but hey, the way I see it is these guys are out here trying to swim without getting wet. You know what I mean? So we want to call ourselves, or not me, I don't really consider truckers business owners and stuff like that. I think at a certain level, maybe you can. I've heard this mentioned with a few of these other channels. So let's just look at what a business owner is. And maybe that'll help kind of clear up some of this stuff. Now, like I said, I do not consider myself an entrepreneur, business owner, none of those words that I've heard thrown around in the trucking industry. But let's see. So basically a business owner is an individual or entity that has legal ownership and operational control over a business enterprise. Now, operational control, I would say that's part of the reason why I don't consider myself a businessman, because I don't have that, right? But listen, I'm fine with where I'm at, but here's where we're going to get it. They are accountable for its success and failure and take on the associated financial risks. So what we've had out here is a bunch of drivers out here that want to be, I'm going to use this, I'll just use this term, but they, want to be ballers, but they only want to take responsibility when things are going well. When things are going bad, there's always somebody else to blame. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I'm saying. I don't know who is listening to some of this stuff out there, but if you're listening to somebody, listen, I'm not saying I'm the one to listen to. I've never really gave out flat out advice and said this is the way to do it or whatever. But if you're going to listen to somebody, at least listen to people that are doing something, or at least along a path that you would like to duplicate. Don't go out here and listen to, I guess if somebody if I wanted to listen to somebody on how good orientation was at certain companies or whatever, then, maybe these are some people to follow. But in terms of actual, how to be profitable in this industry, whether it be from a company driver, lease owner, or, lease purchase or owner operator, you can't listen to how is anybody giving advice when they haven't been successful on any of these levels? And if they have, it's been so far back to where, it's not even applicable at this point. Let me get to some of these comments. And like I said, it only really pisses me off because I'm catching some strays over here because of that. And I don't think some of this stuff would have even been coming my way if it wouldn't have been for some of this other stuff. All right. My man, Terry, since we spoke on the phone the other day, I still don't remember what I was supposed to be talking to you about. All right, Truck Trader Sam, we already went through that. Steelers, yeah. Slime Pack, what's going on? I saw your car in that last video. That's a pretty tight looking car out there. I should go out and do a video on my new car, but it's not much to see. You know what I mean? Uh, all right. So Tim travels, even if it's 10%, what's his point? Only 8% of applicants get admitted to Yale Law School. Man, don't be trying to diminish my 10% because he was making me feel good about that. Like, listen, of all the people that ever got into trucking, only 10% actually get the title of their truck through a lease purchase. Don't try to diminish that. Hello from Israel. What's up? You wanted me to recommend a good drug for memory loss. Apparently so. So anyway, back to Slime Pack's car. That's a nice car. I like the wheels on, or the tires with that little green on it. I think that if it does that glow in the dark too, that'd be tight. The other stuff I kind of wanted to talk about. Now, listen, I'm the first one to be talking about. I think that some of this foreign driver stuff that we hear about here has got a little bit more of a racial tone than I'd want to put on it. But at some point, I gotta suspend, my support for some of these motherfuckers out here just doing all kinds of crazy shit. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't believe that everybody gets in an accident, can't speak English and all that stuff, but I can't just keep supporting my, Indians and Somalians or whoever else is out here, if they're out here trying to do it the right way. With them out here there was another U-turn. I don't think that was like one of them, but there's been some other crazy shit that's just happened in the last, week and a half that's making me like, okay, I can't. All right, we got to get rid of this shit. I'm sorry. All right, we had to get rid of that. I can't do it. Lost on, like, I don't know what that is. 67. Hey, what's up? All right, Jesus loves me. All right, that always makes me feel better. Jeremy Griggs, you don't live in the real world. Trust me, Jeremy, if I was rich, I would not be working. Now, I don't have to worry about, here's the thing. Yes, I do worry about money. As a matter of fact, I just had something come up on the home front just recently. And it's not that it was a matter of the money. It's just it's sometimes the more you have, the more you want to protect it. And it's not like I said, we're not rich, but we got a little bit of chips stacked away and stuff like that, but certainly not enough for me to just retire on. Even if we could stretch it out, the insurance would be the main problem. And just, yeah, so Jesus never completed a lease purchase, so I must be greater than Jesus then. Shoot. Hallelujah. I mean, listen, here's my thing. And I'm going to let some of you guys into kind of the mentality sometimes, with some black people, like when some shit happens, sometimes us black people be like, please don't be a black guy. Please don't be a black guy. And then you might have to chill out for a while. You can't be doing no crazy shit for a while. You know what I'm saying? If I was an Indian driver right now, I might take the fucking picture off the side of my truck with the AK-47 in the line and all. I mean, I might get rid of that. I might not do shit in the bathroom. I might fly under the radar for a minute and a half. You know what I mean? Like with the heat on you like that, you just can't do the same shit. Even if you know what I'm saying? So that would be my recommendation. Quit any crazy driving you got going on out there, even if other people are doing it. Because listen, everybody does some crazy shit. But you might want to be 10 and 2 on the steering wheel and all that, and smiling and walking around with regular shoes for a little bit instead of rocking them. I don't usually see them in flip-flops. Normally they're those like little black sandals that kind of, you know what I mean? I might suspend that for a minute and then go that route. just fly under the radar just for a little bit until this heat comes off of you guys. One of my drivers was an Indian dude, and that motherfucker looked like a lumberjack. He's running around with jeans and suspenders. I bet he wasn't catching no slack or flack, should I say. So anyway, yeah, it's hard for me to, the more I'm seeing this shit on Facebook, the more it's like, come on. So that is about it. I've been going out to my truck every few days just to get it kind of loaded up so I don't need to go out there all at once. Start it every now and then. Oh, man, I got to tell you, this right here. Those of you guys that haven't watched this here. Look at how small this little battery pack is right here. That thing right there started my truck from, like, it was dead. And I had like a bigger one that wasn't doing that at all. So I highly suggest this product right here. And even if I just use it when I'm on home time, just leave it out because I'm usually going to take off minimum 11 days, 14 usually up to maybe 21 or something like that. This bad boy comes in handy. Yeah, I think it was like 360 something. Already had to use it once. You can plug it. It plugs into like one of these little cords right here. And it has a cigarette lighter attachment to it. If you look it up, it doesn't look like it's supposed to work on semis, but a lot of the reviews were saying that, the guy uses it on heavy equipment like front loaders and stuff like that. And a couple guys said semis. So there's another one that's like $1,100. I think this meant more for it, but thing came in handy the other day. Trust me. Truck Trader Sam, there's a lot of eyes on drivers these days. Man, I'm telling you, especially if you're one of the ones that are out there. I was just talking to one of my boys that, he's Puerto Rican, and Puerto Rico is part of the United States, which some people don't know, including, we're not getting into that. But I was like, you might want to take that fucking Puerto Rican flag off the front of your truck out here driving through places, having people trying to have you recap the hat or pulling you in, for reasons that they really shouldn't. Sometimes you got to lay low. You know what I mean? Like sometimes when my people do some crazy shit, the next couple of days, I might just be like, how are you guys doing today, sir? All right, very well, move on, whatever. You just can't be acting the same all the time. All right, Slowpoke Trucking on 34 in Amarillo. Man, I'm telling you, the Tootin' Totem in Amarillo, good ass brisket out there. Right across the street from the Flying J, across the highway from the Petro. Andrea, do you work tomorrow? Huh? Do you work tomorrow? Yes. Okay. Maybe the next day. I just want to go out to eat one more time, at least before you leave. Okay, I was right. And then you're off you're off what? Tuesday and Wednesday, right? Yeah. Okay. All right, Slowpoke Trucking, I'm gonna get one. I'm in the market for a bucket to keep at the yard, so I don't keep relying on the shuttle. Man, I'm telling you, it's like this big, man. It's like small. It's small. And what you do is you have to charge it, and it'll let you know when it's charged. And it takes a lot out. So if you use it one time, it like uses all the power like in this like little short period of time. But you hook it up to your battery, and then you turn the on button on, and then you go in and start it, but then you have to turn it off within a minute. That thing, I'm telling you, Greedy little pig. When am I taking off? I'm probably gonna go to the truck on Tuesday, and I'll either leave Wednesday or Thursday. My truck is just like in shambles as far as it's unorganized right now. I've just been taking stuff out there, not putting anything in its place. So it might take me a while. And anybody that's a truck driver knows, put it in the chat below if you know what I'm about to say. What is the hardest thing to do before you leave out from the house? Now, I'm not talking about getting your mind. I'm saying the actual thing that you have to do when you're on your way out of the house. I'm sure nobody's going to pick this one, but once I say it, they're going to understand it. Shamark saw Lenny at the terminal. He told me to tell you what's up. Shamarcus, man, me and Lenny went out to this Mexican restaurant out there in Springfield. That shit was good. I forget what the name of it was, but I would probably go there instead of Fire and Ice, to be honest with you, but Fire and Ice is just so convenient. What's up, 412? Yep, Toot and Totem, man. I love that place. Parking spots are so big over there, too. One of my favorite places in the country to go to. All right, Slime Pack saying putting everything up, packing for the run, those are good ones and all that stuff. Well, the hardest thing to do once you're at the truck is putting the mattress. See, there you go. The hardest thing to do when I'm about to leave is put that goddamn fitted sheet on the mattress. Man, I'm out there getting stuck under the covers. I'm putting on one side and I got it not the right way. So I got it that shit right there. Just putting on the little fitted sheet. That shit, sometimes I'm lucky and I just get it on the first time. But half the time I'm got it going the wrong way or, whatever it is. That's the hardest thing right there. Oh, them fitted sheets. Two people seem like they got it. That's a motherfucker right there. Slime Pack, that must be a male thing. It is a male thing because, women should be good enough for putting sheets on as many times as they should have put them on in life. So, yeah. Man, I'm telling you, and what I might have to do next time I go out there is mark it or something, mark two edges that are supposed to be at the, maybe the shorter end or something. I don't know. Yeah, Slime Pack went out there and got a new wrap on her car. Now, I don't know, because I thought that her name was Slime Pack because slime was green and then pack was for Scat Pack. So I don't know if that name goes all that well with that new car she got, but it's a nice car. I'd be afraid to drive it around. The older you get, the more you think about the chances of you getting fucked up for one reason or another. And the fear I would have of driving around, not out here. Now, I don't know where she lives out there or anything like that. Let's just say Atlanta. There would be a 0% chance that I would be driving no Scat Pack or any of that shit around Atlanta because I don't want to get shot. All right. Yeah, them corners of the sheets, I'm telling you, I think the last time I came home, I had my daughter clean up my truck and everything. That's what she needs to do. Start a business. When people drop off their cars or they're down in Denver, go out there and clean out people's trucks. And I don't think most people would have as much time because it took a while to get it clean. But All right. Woke up in California. I was like, what the fuck? Slime Pack says you have to know how to travel in Atlanta. Yeah, never stop. Yeah. One thing I can say is coming back home to, on home time, stuff like that, the more and more I come back, the less and less that I've been, really taking advantage of this time to, you know, I just don't have the same desire for it. Yeah. Here, why don't you come here? Come on in. Come on, baby.
Look at him.
I know. Come on. See, you want to see what true love is? Let my wife come in here.
No, ain't no fixing this.
All right. Slime Pack says she's driving with the crew when she's going through some of these places. Actually, one of the scariest truck stop I've ever been to is in Charlotte. I haven't been there since then. I don't know if it's still open, but there was a small pilot. I think it was a pilot in Charlotte. And I don't know if there was a club next to it or whatever it was, but it was like super small. And that was like my fuel stop. I was in training at the time. So I stop up there and I walk up to the door and there's like people just hanging out. Like it's the club. So somebody asked me what's up or where am I forgot what it was. Some small talk that I'm not really expecting from people just hanging out. So I'm like, that was odd. So I wasn't thinking about buying anything to drink or anything like that, but I went and bought 2 cans of soda and put that in a little plastic bag. For those of you guys my age, if you remember Bad Boys, when the guy put the batteries in that bag when he was in prison, if those guys would have came out after me, I was going to be like David and Goliath out there on that. But that place was sketchy. That's probably the only place I've felt uncomfortable at night was that place. And I was right there at the fuel island. But it was like regular people. It wasn't like truckers hanging out. It was like regular people. Anyway. Pilot North Charlotte, man. I haven't been by there since then, so I don't even remember where it was at. All right, so you busted your airbag there. That Love's just north of downtown Nashville is sketchy. I don't stop. Usually, if it's a bigger city like Nashville or any of those, I won't stop within 30 miles in any direction of it. So I wouldn't know some of this stuff. Like people are like talking about stuff in Memphis. I wouldn't know because I'm not going to be stopping there. With all the good places to stop within 30 miles of any direction of that, no. Those of you guys just came in. The reason for this title, I'm top 10%, I guess, was there's a YouTube truck driver that came out and said that only 10% of truck drivers finish a lease purchase. So I figured, shit, I might as well take all the credit that's coming my way on that one. So there we go. I wish you would have said top 5 because then I could have been like Jadakiss and said I'm top 5 dead or alive. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. Okay. So 412 talking about horses outside of truck stops in El Paso. The only place I've seen wild horses was out there in Henderson, not Henderson, Nevada, but what's that place in Nevada right before you get on Donner Pass and all that? A place that I will never take a load to, especially in the wintertime. Yeah, that place. I've seen wild horses out there. Coach got on SoCal's Live today and was trying so hard to save face. What he needs to do is make this about his journey and not make it about giving advice to anybody, because you are not in position to give advice to anybody. Shamarcus top 10 three times. That's what I'm saying. And I guess you could say I'm top 10 two times. Sparks, Nevada. There you go, Sam. That's what I'm talking about. Rico, I don't know how to pronounce that whole thing. What's up, bro? Hope you're having a good home time. You know what? I'm gonna say it's been very unproductive. It's been productive and it's been unproductive. Like I went out here and bought the car and did all that, got rid of my truck, personal truck. But it's been fairly unproductive. I've been fucking tired. Like a good week, I was just like extremely tired. I just couldn't even I couldn't do shit. And now I still don't want to leave, but you know. At 412, we need to talk Tim Travels into just retiring. That's what we need to do. He's one of them old people. I just had this conversation with my dad the other day on the phone with him. And, he's like talking about wanting to get a side job. He's like 80 years old. And he's been set for like years and years and years. And to me, people like him are like them assholes that win the lottery. And they're like, well, I'm just going to keep working. Man, fuck that. Why are you doing that shit? Greedy Pig, gonna be home about 10 days. I just got this dude done in 6 weeks. I'm tired. 10 days is not enough for me to like really do shit.
Making soup.
Okay. All right, Shamarcus Slime, what's up? I see you out there spending the money. Us prime lease drivers ain't making money. Now, see, that's a debate which isn't even a necessary debate. And what, Shamarcus, I was just saying that some of this stuff, some of these YouTube channels out here are doing is they're creating a lot of fucking stray bullets coming our direction. Like to me, and I've said it since there's nobody that can go through any of my videos going back to 2019 where I've said this is the best way to do it. This is the only way to do it. I've said this one, like you can't dispute this financially or things like that. But I've never said you got to be a company driver, owner, operator, lease driver, lease purchase driver. But you have some of these guys out here that no matter what they're doing, what they've failed at, what they've done, what they're doing right now is the way to do it. And it's like a big old circle jerk is really what it is. Now you got people out here, don't do it this way. You know what? Why don't you shut the fuck up and then have this be a channel of redemption? I'm gonna tell you this right now. If I fucking failed at everything I did and I started losing like the support of the community, the first thing I do is say, you know what? I fucked up. I made some mistakes, and now this channel is just gonna be about me building back my career or something like that. Not I'm still trying to give advice, like me giving advice after I failed 4 times in the last 2 years. That's not like you cannot give advice. And if you do, it's ridiculous. And the people that are following that advice are even dumber. Now, I can see that there could be people out there that would say, you know what? No, I can't even see that. No, never mind. Let me stop. All right. Richie Rich is one of the worst at that shit. He's got a secret sauce for success, but he keeps changing the fucking recipe every 6 weeks. I'm really not even putting him on target on this one. I mean, I'm not saying that it's not deserved. He wasn't the one that I'm putting the target on this about, though. Because no matter what Richie Rich has kind of gone through or anything like that, I don't feel like he's based his channel on giving advice. So I don't really look at it that one like that. So 412 says, let's not disrespect Richie Rich. As you could just see before you even made that comment, I was out there saying that was not my position on that. Let's see. Now, if I could come out guns blazing on Richie Rich, I would have all the right to do that, considering somebody clown me in a video. Now, he didn't clown me as bad as he did to other people, but I would be, I could be, people could look at it and say, I could see that. But no, I'm not throwing him in that batch because it hasn't been advice. Had he been out giving like true advice, like maybe. All right. Greedy little pig, who's coach? That would be the Truckers Coach or Freight Cat LLC. I mean, shit, as good as I'm doing, I'm going to actually start putting out my referral codes and all this stuff and everything. You know what I'm saying? If I'm top 10, I might as well make some money out of it. You know what I mean? All right, 412, Rich has failures, of course, but he's not on YouTube being a referral squirrel or teaching and telling people his way is the best way. He just vents and gives a lot of opinions. Yeah, I'll agree with that one. Like I said, none of this was focused at him. Yeah, 412. Coach has been on and off YouTube streets for years. And like I said, everybody loves a comeback story. You know what I mean? I would be more. Listen, nobody would cheer him more than if he would shut up with the advice and just be like, you know what? I came out of the ashes like a phoenix. You know what I mean? And here's where I am now, and here's how I did it. A lot of people could benefit from that story. You know what I mean? But you're gonna be out here telling people how to do shit. No, that don't make no sense. 412 talking about the history of failure going back is hilarious. Yep, that's what I'm saying. 412, I'm not really, I really don't try to get this too crazy in the videos like I am now. Normally, I try not to be this blatant about people that I'm going to be trying to take shots at, but I'm tired of taking strays just because of him. Midlife trucker, man, I've been home since the 8th. We just spoke yesterday. I think I told you the day before yesterday. I think I told you that. That's what I'm talking about. Shamarcus, I think it's called Freight Cat LLC right now. He was the one, first of all, to my recollection, he was never at Prime. He might have been at Wilson, I believe, and he's out here talking about how Prime did him wrong and all that kind of stuff. And I'm just saying, Prime could do a lot of things wrong to a lot of people, but you can't be like the guy you pretend to be and then just be failing at Prime. That's like me failing to cook a fucking brownie, and I got the, Betty Crocker easy bake 12-year-old little, oven baked thing I got for Christmas. That's automatic right there. Tom Bill is leaving for a whole 3 days. I might be out a while because when I come back, I'm going to be back a while. And hopefully I won't be as wore out as I was this time. Midlife trucker, freight cat, or a trucker's joke is now going to be a company driver. There's nothing wrong with that. What there is something wrong with is you now preaching that company driver is the way to go and all this stuff when not, man, the heat hasn't even cooled off your fucking computer since the last time you were talking about, oh, this is the way to do it, and 99-cent fuel, and which is another gimmick. 99-cent fuel, and the trolls out there, man, shut up. All right, greedy little pig. Hey, Prime people, you guys been busy this month. Before anybody answers, I talked to a few people at Prime, and 3 out of the 4 people I talked to were at about $62,000 to $7,000 last week, and I've been hearing that a number of weeks. So, just so happens these are the weeks I'm sitting at home.
Spending out the money.
What's that?
I said spending out the money.
What are you talking about? The money
Yeah, you said you're missing that money out on the road right now. I said instead you've been sitting at home. And
Yeah.
I said, yeah, sitting at home spending out the money.
Yeah. And 412, I'm going to get back on your point. I'm going to tell you that the majority of truck drivers that are out here, brand new, I'm talking about some of the other ones too. Company should be the only thing coming out of your mouth. That's it. There's nothing wrong with being company. I couldn't do it, because of certain things, not because it's an ego trip. I think that's why some people don't do it. It's an ego thing. But there are certain things that I would ask people, if they're like, should I go company or lease? And it's like, have you ever blamed anybody else on some shit you didn't do? Right. That's a red flag right there. Do you have some money saved up? That's a red flag right there if you don't. More than anything, it's a mental thing that I don't think some people are capable of having. And it's a mentality where, and I just spoke to somebody about this the other day. I say, some of these guys I'm seeing failing, they act. Okay, when I was in the mortgage business, we used to always have these people and they come by and give these classes or, read this book or take this business coaching shit. And some of you guys are going to understand what I'm going to say, and some of you maybe aren't. But a lot of these business coaches would say, okay, well, you got to do whatever it is. You have to focus, you have to have a plan written out for the entire day. And you got to say, I'm going to talk to this many people. I'm going to do this and do that. And there's a certain number of people that are in that business that think that just by following those steps, the business is going to come just because they're following these steps. And there's a difference between people that do and follow a certain thing. And I think that if you listen to some of these people, I'm just telling you, they ain't no runners. I'm going to tell you that right now. Some of them will flat out say it. I don't like running more than this many miles a week. That maybe it's not for you. Or, you could pick almost any of them, and I would look at it and say I wouldn't call them no runners. And I don't like driving. Maybe that's, I think, anyway, I don't like driving, but I know that you got to fucking drive to do it. And I think that you see a lot of these guys that, seriously, watch. Some of you guys know what I'm talking about. Watch some channels and think about how many times they've actually gone out of their way not to do business. Well, I wanted to be home Thursday, and I had a load going from, Amarillo to Lubbock, and, whatever. There ain't no running. And one thing I will tell you from having multiple trucks is it's easy to identify the people that are really hard, really runners, and the ones that are just not. And sometimes I don't think people realize if they are, like, I think some people think that they're actually runners and they aren't. Well, I just do what's dispatch. It's something I can't even put my finger on. Like, it goes beyond like just running a load that's given to you. I can't even like put a finger on it. And it's the same curiosity I had when I was in the car business. I'd worked with people that would sell like a ton of cars, and I'm like, how do they do it? And they could never put their finger on it. I could never understand it, but it was like more than just. Sometimes it's just somebody just has it. I don't know. I can't explain it, but anyway. All right, Slowpoke hit 42 last week, gonna hit 6 this week running solo. I'm telling you, I'm hearing people throwing out some good numbers out there. Handsome Poochie 9987. How long have I been home? I got home on the 8th. As a team, I always put $1,000 in emergency fund a week. I put $1,100 a week in my emergency fund, and I'm probably gonna raise that to $1,500 actually when I get back out. Midlife trucker Richie found the right gig. He's gonna be happier than Elise. Listen, I think it's a good move, and not just a good move. I always kind of figure what's going to happen if something happens at Prime or they like do, because I can get petty sometimes. Like, what would be my plan? And I don't know if Tyson would be the plan, but national carriers as a lease program, like a lease onto them, owner operator type situation. I don't think there's anything wrong with that plan. All right. Christopher Shilton, algorithm love. What's up? All right. What's up with the 10%er? Ed, we already spoke about that on the phone today. There was a YouTube channel out there saying that only 10% of the people out there finish out a lease and actually get the title of their truck. So I figured that shit. I might as well call myself, I guess I'm top 10%. So I'm bragging on that right now. All right. Some people think the 2,800 miles in a week is tough. You know what? We were talking about this the other day as far as miles and stuff go. At Prime, it's not the miles, so that's not the key indicator, but it is just a way in which you run your truck. If there's miles to be ran, I'm gonna run them, unless there's weather or whatever like that. There's never gonna be a time I'm like, I got a load and I got like 5 hours, let's even say 3 hours on my clock, and I could be moving somewhere else. I'm gonna run at least 2 of those 3 to get me somewhere else. Ed says, I'm a 5%er. Ed, I don't usually give nobody any straight advice or anything like that, because I think there's a bunch of different ways to skin a cat. You know I'm about to say it, so I'm not even going to say it. Some of you guys that have watched Prime YouTube channel for a while, Peruvian truckers out there. I did talk to him the other day, and go over there and tell him to start putting out some more videos. All right, Slowpoke, last trainee's not going to make it simply because he don't like to run. He would always ask, can we just take a break? Absolutely not. And some people don't know any better. I was lucky to come up under, the guy that I just got done training myself, and there was never no stopping until there was a reason to stop. We wouldn't stop until we were where we needed to be or the hours were up. That was it. And if you do have that mindset, I think you can end up hurting yourself more as a company driver than a lease driver, but at least you're not going to have the potential of going negative. Just anybody that's not going to be running like that, just go company. And I'm not saying that company drivers don't run or, whatever. I'm just saying you can't halfway run as a lease driver and then have any problem come up and be able to get yourself out of that problem. All right. All right, Jarrell, 2,800 miles. This one trip I'm on is now 1,400 miles. Midlife trucker running Monday to Wednesday is going to be a real low week. Maybe the best advice you should give is the Facebook weather channel. Oh man, I've given this out to, I look at this Facebook channel more than anything. This is how I look at the weather out there. This channel right there, screenshot it, remember it, do whatever you got to do. Daily forecast and road conditions for truckers. This Facebook page, always up to date. Like let's say that there's chain restrictions on I-70 in Colorado. They're going to post it on here, but then when it's over, they're going to take it off the page. So you're not running through a bunch of like stuff that's like irrelevant anymore. I trip plan off of this channel more than I do any weather apps or anything like that. Boom, that. So yeah, that right there is awesome. So check that out. And if you go through some stuff, you can post some stuff on there as well. So it's kind of, a lot of it is done by this lady that kind of administrates it, but you could throw some stuff up on there. I mean, it's very current, very up to date. It's like she lives on all these like state weather pages. And like, I don't think she works. I don't know what it is. It's incredible. Sign up to that Facebook page. All right, I'm glad you reminded me to mention that, Truck Trader Sam. Absolutely, love that. So some of you new people that are in here, and this is what I wanted to kind of get back at, is there's very consistent channels out there that are never change things based on. You can go back to my very first videos. What was I preaching back then? Best time to get in the business is when the economy is bad. You could build your business on a down economy when things turn around. I remember that was like probably one of my first 9 videos or, something like that. I've never changed on anything. There are certain channels, Cash is King would be one. There, and I'm trying not to stick with prime channels, but I mean, just other channels out there that are consistent with what they talk about. Not saying that things are better or worse depending on which way you go, but they're consistent. What's not consistent is me having a bad experience somewhere after I've already suckered 4 or 5 people. And how are people oh my God. Anyway, after suckering 4 or 5 people to go in there for referral bonuses and, this or that, and then you leave and then start promoting some other shit and saying that the other place you went to was horrible. Now, I don't think that any of the places that some of these people were bad. I don't know about one of them, but I don't think that some of these places are bad. I don't think that Hirschbach's a bad place to go. I talked to people at Hirschbach. I ran into a guy at Hirschbach, you know, Tom, what are you talking about? Chopped liver. Yeah, okay. Okay. Tom Bell has a great company that I would go to if I lived in that area that is company services. It's a easy $100,000 a year job. It's one of those places where you're going to be constantly running all that kind of stuff. Places that I've thought that several YouTube channels should have gone to this place. So, yeah. Sorry about that, Tom. But anyway, saw that comment. It kind of threw me off, but I think my point was there are people that have been consistent and not in saying, like, what I'm saying is this, and I've kind of did change because I'm not talking about here's some tips or this or that or whatever. I'm kind of more just kind of speaking to the people, if you want to say it that, but I haven't changed with anything I've said. Never said the company or lease or whatever is a better way. Owner operators, bad, better, worse, whatever. Everybody has their path. I've never deviated from that. But you got people that are out here trying to pretend to be gurus and, you know, whatever. And it's sort of like this in a way. Well, no, I can't even use that analogy. Can't do that. All right, greedy little pig. The only advice I give my students is do whatever Prime does. If it works for them, it'll work for you. And I do think, in a way, I'm a little bit lucky. I think that some of the skills that I brought over from my previous business kind of help where I'm at now. I'm not saying things would be markedly different had I, you know, not brought that over, but I think one of the gifts I have is that I don't like drive. I do not like being a truck driver. And what that does is it makes me think about this as a real job and not be out here trying to, not saying there's anything bad. One of my boys, Russ, he might be watching this video. He stops at more restaurants and does more shit than anybody I know. I can't do that. I look at this like a real job and I just do what I gotta do. And that's it. When I'm out running, I'm running. I'm not like, even if I'm at somewhere for 20 hours, I'm not going and exploring and doing all that. Because as soon as I relax, I know me. As soon as I let my foot off the pedal, I'm done. I hate trucking that much to where as soon as I get my mind off of it, I can't reel it back in. And that's the hard part about coming off of home time. All right. All right, bringing management combined with military experience changes perspective. You know what? That is, I think a lot of it is that, and there's other things that I'm really not going to get into in this video that I would say. I think we might have spoke about some of the things that I do a little bit, but I'm not going to, you know. All right. Hey, wait, Andrew, what are you doing?
Huh?
What are you doing?
I'm gonna go in the bedroom so I can make a
Okay, I wasn't sure if, I thought you might have been taking food to her or something.
No.
Okay, I didn't. All right. All right. The reason I don't go home often is leaving home is depressing at least a few days so hard. Man, I'm telling you, I cannot just raw dog it and get back out on the road. So anybody who knows me, if I got to come out on a Friday, I got to be at my truck on a Thursday morning or a Wednesday night. I can't be one of these guys that's like leaving the house and ready for dispatch that day. I can't do it. I just can't. She's probably on the couch.
Frank.
So,
Come on, mommy. Come on.
Yeah, I understand you with that whole depressing thing.
Go bed?
Yeah, pick her up and take her in if she can.
You go bed? Let's go bed. Let's go to bed, baby. Let's go to bed. Good girl.
All right, Marcus, if I wasn't so attached to my truck, I would have been done driving too, but soon as either truck goes down or Prime kicks us off, I'm done driving. Yeah, I kind of thought about what I would have done different, because people ask me, and Shamarcus isn't too much younger than me, but probably just young enough to where we look at things a little bit different as far as what we're willing to go through and stuff like that. And for those of you guys don't know, Shamarcus, that's in the comments, he's paid off 3 trucks at Prime. It's a lot of work to do that. You know what I'm saying? As a matter of fact, I was just thinking about that today, as a matter of fact, because somebody was trying to coax me into, Lyle, I'll be a company driver, and, I just have 3 more years to retire. And, if you order another truck, I'll drive your truck for, the next 3 years minimum. And I was like, you know what? It'd be so easy for me to order another truck and do all that. But it's like, man, I just can't do it mentally, even if all the trucks are paid off. And one thing, okay, so somebody was cracking on, I'm kind of going off the topic. It's kind of the similar topic, but not really. Somebody was cracking on people at Prime for having, multiple trucks and having fleets. Well, look at Shamarcus. He has 3 trucks paid off, right? So when I look at my numbers, and I've sold one of my trucks, so I only have 1 truck paid off right now. I start off the year like $50,000 to the good, right? Before I even make $1, I've made $50,000. If he has 3 trucks paid off before he starts the year, he has $150,000 in revenue, in essence, if you want to look at it like that. So as long as his trucks are doing relatively well, he will make, without changing anything, good, bad, and different, $150,000 more this year than he did last year. So I remember what my point was about that. I think somebody was clowning about people owning trucks at Prime. And there is some risk that goes along with that, but he's already absorbed the majority of the risk. So when I'm talking to people, if Ed is still in here and I'm saying lease purchase, I just can't do a regular lease. At some point, payments, at some point, you're going to be where no payment equals, I'm starting off the year 100 or 50,000, 55,000, whatever you want to put, ahead of where I would be, even if I was, just because I don't have a truck payment, if that makes sense. All right, the life and owner operator who has other drivers, man, I still have drivers call me on occasion, and I still have PTSD when I see them numbers pull up on my phone, and I'm like, okay, shit, I forgot. They can't say anything bad to me right now because I don't own the truck. Because it could be stuff that wasn't their fault. It could be shit that was their fault. It could be, it could be anything that them phone call. And Shamarcus and other people that have had drivers know exactly what I'm talking about. It could be anything. And it could be mistakes that I've made. The only difference is, and I just went through this with my daughter, the difference between my daughter making a mistake and me making a mistake is lessons not learned in blood are soon forgotten. So my daughter just did some stupid shit the other day. She put oil in her fucking coolant in her car. Well, she called me to handle it. I got to handle it, whatever. And I'm just like, she's not absorbing 100% of the pain that you got to go through when something like that happens. And I think a lot of people that are company drivers or drive for a mini fleet or whatever don't feel that same pain. So that's the stuff that I was dealing with as a fleet owner. And it could be a mistake I've made. It could be, I've had fuel gel up on me, not because of my fuel tanks, but because of the fuel line. Doesn't matter. I dealt with it. I didn't have nobody I could call and be like, my fuel's gelled up. What do I do? Whatever. So, I'm getting flashbacks just thinking about some of those conversations. Anyway, oh man. Ed, regular lease for the win? No, not at all, Ed. I'm telling you. If you ever, like, me and Ed talk all the time on the phone. Ed is just a regular old white dude, and he says fool more than a Mexican dude. Like, if he ever calls me, what's up, fool? Or if I call him, what's up, fool? And I'm like, I've had like real essays that I talk to that don't say fool as much as him. But we could go through the numbers again. I could break them down to where you understand that if you actually plan on paying it off, which would make you the top 10%. Maybe you don't want to be top 10. I don't know. The numbers don't lie on that, Ed. Love you, though. Hey, boss, I put def. Hold on. Shamarcus could, if he's still in here, he could tell you about that. I put def and the diesel and the truck won't go. Shamarcus had that happen to him. All right. Did I hide a body from the daughter? My daughter, I don't know what you actually meant by that, but my daughter laid low for that. She laid low for a while. And then this morning I just pulled into the house and she stopped and, said what's up because she knew that I probably didn't want to have that conversation yesterday. All right, Shamarcus had to replace the whole DEF system because anti-gel in the DEF tank. That's what they did in his anti-gel in the DEF tank. But it could be anything. It literally could be anything. And a lot of it is you could be a little bit lazier, to be honest with you. It could be, I don't know if one of my other drivers in here, she was out in Nashville. It was like during that ice storm and stuff like that. And she could, she couldn't get out of her spot. And she was talking about, the fleet manager told her she might have to call a tow truck. And I was like, fuck, you better figure that shit out. And she finally did, but it would have just, her immediate thing was, oh, well, let me call a tow truck and get this, out. All right. So sometimes you put a little bit more effort into this shit. All right. Did I replace the rusted out Ram yet? Yeah, I sure did. I got that. I would go out and show you guys now. Shit. I got that 2013 Audi all road. Looks brand fucking new. If I got in that car and didn't know that it was used, it looks brand fucking new. That thing drives like a motherfucker too. That car is going to get me in trouble because my Ram, at least when you're going fast. That car, you'll be going 80 and you won't even think about it. Anyway, I love that shit. I won't be driving that one I won't be leaving that one at the drop yard when I go leave off of home time. All right. Greedy little pig dropped a plastic cap in my fuel tank 6 weeks ago and thought it was bad. I don't think that'd be a big deal. Listen, I think my biggest frustration with having multiple trucks was it never seemed like it was my truck that was having the problems, right? So it'd be different if my truck was down and I had a chance to go chill out at the hotel and go swimming and doing all that kind of shit. It was never my truck. So I'm like basically sponsoring vacations for other motherfuckers, or at least two motherfuckers. That's one thing. And then and I mean that was the main thing. And then I don't remember the point. One thing I can say about that is having multiple people driving for me. I did realize that there is a difference. Okay, not everybody that thinks they're running is running, and that could be whether it's a shift or a entire outing or whatever. It made me realize that I do things a little bit different than what maybe some people do. I do recognize that. And sometimes you won't be able to recognize that. But then I was able to recognize, you know what? I did have that driver that, and there's nothing wrong with everybody that doesn't run like that. But you are capable of seeing people that do step up a little bit more. And I'm not taking anything away from the other people that didn't. I'm just saying there's a clear delineation between people that like all out run and the ones that are just like, it could be a number of different things. I'm just going to go 8 hours today, or, I'm rolling through here and I'm going to take a 34, or, everything can't just be about driving, or, a number of different, like, you can start telling the differences between those things. And, when people are clowning about me taking off this time now, you know what? I've fucking put in the time for this time off. And I never did need to make all that money. I just couldn't lose a lot of that fucking money, or I just refused to. Anyway, enough about that. Let's go outside real quick. Let me see if I got the battery. Let's go take a look. We can go take a look at this. Let me see if I can turn this camera around first. I don't think I can. Let me try. See, I messed it up. I don't think I can turn it back around. God damn it. See, I hate this thing. All right. Now it's all freezing up. Yep. All right, I can't do that. I tried to turn the camera around and it just froze up. Let me see if I could actually walk out here and do it like this. Maybe this will work. All right, so we're not. I don't know if we can get into that or not. That's kind of what it is right there. It'd be easier if I could turn my phone around, but I can't really do that. But it's just a little modest car. Let's turn around, I don't know if you can see this or not, but that's kind of all it is right there. So That's it. I'd like to turn the camera around so I could at least show you what it really is, but it's some cheap shit, you know. It's like $80 something $100. Some shit that'll be paid off in the next 4 or 5 months most. So anyway, I hope you guys got that. I can't really tell if you did or didn't. Let's see. I did get rid of the Dodge Ram though, so that was good. We don't have rusted out cars in Colorado. If they come from Colorado, the problem with my truck was it was a Missouri truck, and this car came out of Calabasas, California. So, shit, Chloe and all them might have been driving this thing. Who knows? Slowpoke LLC students are the same way for lease trucks and fuel costs. They don't care if they run over a piece of angle iron like mine did or run 65 when you tell them 60. Absolutely. But I never had that problem with my drivers. If I told them to drive a certain speed, they did it. And I tell them why. You know what I mean? It would just be like, you know what? Let's just tone this down to like 61 miles an hour. We got plenty of time on this. There's no reason to really rush. Or it could be, you know, let's go 65. We got, 12,000 pounds in the box. Doesn't really matter. Let's get out here. Whatever. I always try to tell them why. All right, midlife trucker. Mine is a 2019, but we don't have that rust issue. Like I said, that's not a Colorado issue. That's a Missouri issue where that truck came from. Because listen, I've had that truck since 2015, but it's a 2009. You know what I mean? So, all right, midlife trucker. Too many drivers think they need to max out the governor on every run. Yeah, I would tell them why I'm doing what I was doing. I'm going this fast for this reason. Oh, whatever. But that car is so quiet, man. It's just like, love it. Now, I'm sure my wife is going to try to take that car over. Yo, slime pack out there. I was just thinking, man, I was thinking about that when I saw your video earlier today. Back when I wasn't even into cars, but I used to just buy a lot of cars back when I was in my, let's see, mid 20s, whatever. And somebody had bought a Mustang that they couldn't pay for, and they sent it to this place in California called Boss Shops. And they went out there, did all this shit to the car. Supercharger, blower, I don't remember. Probably supercharger. Did all this shit to it. I don't remember how many horsepower it was, but he couldn't pay for it. The car came into a dealership. Dealers don't pay money for cars that have all that shit on it. So we basically stole the car. I forget how much it was. I went and bought it. And if you are familiar with what a Saline Mustang looks like, it was kind of set up like that. I realized how dumb that decision was, like within 6 months of buying it. So luckily I was able to sell it and make some money on it, but that was after getting in an accident on it. Because you don't think about that shit when you're young, dumb, and full of cum. I'm gonna be driving down, I-25 in Colorado, to work, and there might be snow, and I'm in a rear-wheel drive car with 17-inch wheels, and Yeah. I didn't think past what people were thinking about the shit. It was a beast, though, at least for them days. I don't know how it would compare to cars these days, but that bad boy, if you stepped on it, thing was out of here. All right. Tom Bell's delivering in Noonan, just 2 hours from the house. It'll be a rough commute. I mean, walk to the truck. I hear you. D-Cross Trucking. Good afternoon. What's up, man? Slime Pack was talking about Chloe having it, man. I don't know which of them guys might have had it, but that's where it came from. California for the most part. Midlife Trucker got snowed down in Shadydale, Georgia back in 2007. People still talking about it. Listen, snow in the South is the worst shit ever. Because listen, I'm more of a scientist than I am about this religion bullshit. Not that it's bullshit or whatever. You understand where I'm coming from. But when it comes to dealing with snow, I don't want people praying about it and the snow's going to be over. I want some like equipment out there. Too many cities in the South, it's like they rely on, the roads will be ready when God's ready. No, fuck that. Get some snow plows out there and some sand or whatever. Too many places out there in the South are just not like that. Anyway. Let's see, I'm missing some comments. All right, Afro, yeah, that A4 wagon, pretty sick. A little different than the regular. It's based on the A4, but I think the wheelbase a little bit wider, and it's raised about 1.5 inches taller than the A4 wagon. What I really would have hoped is it would have been based off the A6 wagon. That would have really been along my lines. The only reason I got the wagon, it's just easier to put stuff in and take it out than if I'd have got the Q5 or Q7 SUV from Audi, which was, there was a ton of stuff. I buy the cheapest, not the cheapest, the best deal per dollar. So it could have been an A4, it could have been a Camry, it could have been, whatever. So just happened that this was the best thing I saw. Anyway, I'm about to get off of here. Looks like I've been on here for a while. Whew. Trying to divert my mind from getting back out on these streets. Because I definitely am not ready for that shit. So if you happen to be at the terminal within the next 3 weeks to a month, I'll probably have to be sliding by the terminal in that period of time. So if you happen to see me or out there in the wild, holler at your boy. You know what I'm saying? Don't be one of these people. Yeah, I saw you out at the other place last week. I didn't want to say anything, though. Just say what up. I'll check you out later. I'm out.